Welcome to the Positively Encouraging People podcast. I'm your host, Jen Anderson. Each week, we will have a conversation about ways you can love yourself more, set better boundaries, and build up your self-confidence. We will talk about tools you can use, simple tips and stories to encourage and lift you up. You will learn from my experiences and struggles and those of my guest speakers. After spending years feeling undervalued in my relationships, jobs, and almost every area of life, I learned how a story from my childhood was keeping me stuck in that feeling because I believed it was all I deserved. By proving that story wrong and learning to set healthy boundaries, I discovered my worth and started loving myself completely. Creating a life that is both fulfilling and in my true alignment is important to me, and if you feel the same way, you are in the right place. So sit back and relax. Your stress-free weekly pep talk with Jen is about to begin. Hey, welcome back to the Positively Encouraging People podcast. I am so excited that you joined me for my next episode and for another dose of confidence. Today, I want to chat with you about confidence as a skill and something that you can learn. This is something that took me a whole long time to understand. And if you're kind of in that same boat where you're like, I want to do something, but I'm not very good at it, and I don't really know what's going to go on, and stick with me because I think this will turn into something amazing for you, and I think it will give you some tips and tools to use when you're trying to build your confidence level and build a new skill. So, I challenge you right now. We're going to start off with the challenge. I challenge you right now to look at your life and see where you do have confidence. See those areas that you really excel in and you do well with. We talked about this a little bit last week, but look at it again and really see where you're at. And then once you have that, be honest with yourself, because there are definitely other areas where you lack confidence, where things don't come as easy, where it's kind of a struggle. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You have to decide, or you get to decide, do you want to build that skill? Do I want to build that skill up? Is this something I want to be good at? And if you do, then I want to tell you a little story from my world. And maybe that will help you understand how you can build that confidence level up. So, over the last few years, I've started writing a whole lot more with this coaching business, with my business degree, just the whole thing. I started writing more. And to be honest with you, at first, I felt very inept. I hadn't really written I really hadn't truly written anything over almost 20 years since being out of school. I didn't really have jobs that required me to write like form letters, and most of the jobs I had, either they were all written already if I needed anything like that, or I just didn't have jobs like that. I worked retail for almost 16 years, and so I didn't really have to do any of that part. So I felt really, really inadequate. And that just never seemed, so it just made me feel bad about myself. Let's be honest. It just really made me feel bad about myself. And so, I had to figure out how I was going to do that. How was I going to be able, like, especially when I went back to college, how was I going to be able to go back to college and pass my classes if I had to write in most of them? So what I started doing was, well, I actually talked to my husband about it, and I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? And he said, well, He said, what you're going to do is you're going to write it all out and then you're going to walk away from it. And he said, and then you're going to come back to it and you're going to reread it and you're going to edit it. And then you're going to send it to me. And he said, and then I will look at it and I will give you editing tweaks and encouragement and notes to take on it. And I was like, okay, that's a great idea. I like that. And so what that did for me was, because he also had his degree in business management. And so he knew what I was looking at, what I was going for whenever I was writing things. And so what that did was it taught me. He didn't just write it for me. He didn't just change things. He told me why he was changing them, what he was changing, and why he felt that should be that way versus what I had. And it taught me how to not write like I talk. So I learned some skills in that. I learned some good writing skills. And then when I started my coaching business, I totally felt inept again. I mean, I had those skills that I had learned, but this was a totally different niche and it was different verbiage. And I just felt like it was crazy. So I kind of did the same thing. I would write posts and I would send them to him and he would edit them just for grammar mostly. But after I started coaching for a little bit, I had an amazing client who was also a copywriting editor. And so we started working together and she now copyrights or edits all my copy. And she has even said over the last few weeks, few months, that it's just gotten so much better, that it's so much easier for her to copyright because it's just, or to edit, I'm sorry, um, because it's just so much clearer and concise and there's just not as much. There's always going to be a few grammatical things because grammar's just not my forte. And I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have an issue paying someone to um to do that for me for the rest of my career because quite honestly, it's just not it's not something I'm going to ever be perfect at and I don't have a problem with that. Um but what these two did for me was they kept encouraging me. They never told me to stop. They never told me, "Oh, you're too stupid to do that." They encouraged me. They supported me. They taught me the right ways to do that. And so that helped me to build that skill and it's helped me to be more confident. I have to tell you, I don't think I would be on a podcast with you right now if I hadn't mastered writing or at least gotten better at it to where I feel more confident um, about it. So, another example that you can think about with that is when you learn to walk as a baby. You didn't just give up after the fourth or the fifth try and you fell down. You didn't just give up. You had your parents there. They were encouraging you. They were cheering you on. They were supporting you. They wanted you to get up and walk. They didn't want you to crawl for the rest of your life. What kind of a trend would that set if 50 years ago nobody encouraged their kids to walk and everybody crawled? Would we all be a society of crawling now? That just seems, I mean, to me that just seems really bizarre. But yeah, that they encouraged you, they kept you going. And that's the skill that you need to be able to find, whether you have to find it in yourself to encourage yourself and build yourself up, or whether you find somebody you trust that will help you and just give you the courage and the encouragement and the support and the cheering and all of the good stuff and the accountability to get it done. Because for my thing, I always had the accountability. I always had the deadlines. Whether it was school or whether it's my business, I have things I want to get done. And I have those deadlines. So I don't need somebody to hold me accountable. I do that for myself and the deadlines do that for me. But I needed somebody to really teach me the true ways, to cheer me on, to remind me that I was smart enough to do it. And so that's really what I want for you. So, right now, what are you trying to do? Where are you trying to brainstorm new things and new ideas? And what would that look like for you if you had a little extra support and somebody to teach you the right ways? What would that look like? Um, this is something you could do with a friend. This is something you could do with a trusted colleague. This is something you can do with a coach. There are lots of resources and options. If you need any help deciding how and what you need to do, feel free to contact me. You can either email me or you can find me on social media. All my information is under the show notes. So feel free to do any of that. And that's what I'm here for. That's why I want to have these conversations with you, because I want to help you in any way that I can, even if it's just to give you a couple little nuggets here and there that you pick up through the podcasts. So, I also want to encourage you to join us next week, because I am going to have my first guest speaker. Her name is Kristen Wood, and she is with KristenWWellness.com. And she is a total body wellness coach. And so she is going to talk to you about confidence around dieting and why it's safe, and where you might lack some confidence in losing some weight, and how you can gain some more. So I hope that you will join us for that. I am super excited for that podcast next week. And if you have any questions or need any support, always remember that I'm here for you. You can find me on social media at Thankful Hearts Coaching, or you can always email me at thankfulheartscoaching@gmail.com. I also have a private Facebook group for women called Extraordinary Women. And in there, you will get more information from me. And you will also get lots of support and encouragement, because there's a whole group of women looking to support and encourage other women. So let me know what you need. I can't wait to talk to you next week. And I hope you have a fabulous week. Take care.